back to Prime Wealth. Today, we're diving into a topic that really hits home for so many of us, retirement withdrawal strategies.
Absolutely, Jordan. You know, the classic 4% rule has been a cornerstone for retirement planning for years, but there are some updates we need to consider, especially as life and markets change.
Right. It's not just about saying, okay, I'll take out 4% and I'll be fine. There's a bit more nuance to it now, isn't there?
For sure. We're going to unpack what the 4% rule really means today, how to adapt it for today's economic landscape, and share some alternative strategies that might work better for you.
Plus, we'll touch on how your individual circumstances can really affect your withdrawal strategy. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach, and that's super important to remember.
Exactly. And we'll also explore some practical steps you can take right now to ensure your retirement savings last as long as you need them to.
Sounds like a packed episode. So whether you're nearing retirement or just starting to think about it, there's something here for everyone.
Let's jump right in and start by breaking down the original 4% rule and why it's been a popular guideline for so long.
You know, Alex, when we talk about retirement withdrawal strategies, it feels more pressing than ever, especially for folks over 40. I mean, the timeline for retirement is getting closer, right?
Absolutely, Jordan. For many people in that age group, they're really starting to think about how much they've saved, and more importantly, how they'll actually access those funds when the time comes.
Right, and it's not just about having a number in your retirement account anymore. With inflation rates fluctuating and the cost of living creeping up, that number can feel a lot less secure than it once did.
Exactly. Let's talk about inflation for a minute. It's been a real concern lately. For instance, if you've saved $1 million but inflation is eroding purchasing power, that million won't stretch as far as it used to.
I think that really hits home for a lot of people. I mean, just think about the everyday expenses folks face. Groceries, healthcare, housing. These costs aren't just rising. They can change dramatically year over year.
And when you start factoring in things like healthcare costs, which tend to rise even faster than general inflation, it can be a bit daunting. A recent study showed that nearly 70% of people over 65 will need some form of long-term care, and those costs can be enormous.
Wow, that's a staggering statistic. So it's not just about having enough to cover daily expenses, right? It's also about preparing for those unexpected healthcare needs.
Exactly. And then there's the emotional side of money security. For many people, the thought of running out of money in retirement is incredibly anxiety-inducing. It's not just about the numbers. It's about peace of mind.
Yes! I've talked to people who are constantly worried if they'll have enough to last through their retirement. It's like they're in this constant state of stress, which isn't healthy.
And that stress can affect decision-making. When you're anxious about finances, it can lead to hesitation or even bad choices, like pulling money out at the wrong time, which can severely impact long-term growth.
That's a great point. So what do we do about it? How can people over 40 start to tackle this challenge?
Well, the first step is understanding where you stand. Do a thorough assessment of your financial picture. Look at your savings, investments, and expected income streams.
And that can often be a wake-up call, can't it? Like, maybe someone thinks they're doing fine, but when they really dig into the numbers, they might realize they're not as prepared as they thought.
Exactly. I have seen it happen before. A client of mine thought he was on track with his retirement savings, but when we ran the numbers, he discovered he'd need to adjust his spending and possibly delay retirement a few years.
That sounds tough, but it's better to know early than to be blindsided down the line.
Definitely. And once you have a clear picture, you can look at different withdrawal strategies like the 4% rule, which many people are familiar with. But it's also worth noting that this rule is evolving due to market conditions and inflation.
So the 4% rule, can you break that down a little for those who might not be familiar with it?
Sure. The basic idea is that if you withdraw 4% of your retirement savings each year, adjusted for inflation, you're likely to have enough money to last for 30 years. So if you have $1 million saved, you take out $40,000 each year.
But that's based on historical market performance, right? And if the market changes, that could throw a wrench in the plan.
Exactly. Recent research suggests that in today's economic climate, especially considering inflation, some experts recommend a more conservative approach, maybe starting with a 3.5% withdrawal rate, particularly if you're planning for a long retirement.
That makes sense. I mean, the longer you live, the more you need to stretch your savings.
Right, and it's not just about the withdrawal rate, it's also about the sequence of returns. If you face market volatility early in retirement, it can significantly impact your portfolio's longevity.
So how do you navigate that? I bet it's a balancing act.
It really is. One strategy is to have a diversified portfolio that includes a mix of stocks and bonds, which can help buffer against volatility. Plus, having a cash reserve for the first few years of retirement can allow your investments to recover from downturns.
That's a smart approach. It gives you that breathing room to ride out the market waves without panicking.
Exactly. And let's not forget about other income sources like Social Security or pensions. The timing of when you start withdrawing from those can also have a huge impact on your overall strategy.
Oh, definitely. I've heard some people say that delaying Social Security can significantly increase your benefits, which could be a game changer in retirement.
For sure. If you can afford to wait a few years to claim it, your monthly payments can rise considerably. It's all about understanding your options and making informed decisions.
So, it sounds like the key takeaway here is to really evaluate your personal situation and be proactive about your retirement strategy.
Yes, and it leads us right into practical steps you can take to optimize your retirement withdrawal strategy.
Let's dive into that next. So Alex, let's dive into some of those core strategies and rules of thumb when it comes to retirement withdrawal strategies.
Absolutely, Jordan. One of the most well-known guidelines is the 4% rule. It suggests that you can withdraw 4% of your retirement savings each year without running out of money over a 30-year retirement. But, this is more of a starting point than a hard and fast rule.
Right, because 4% might not be suitable for everyone, especially with the market fluctuations and rising inflation we see today.
Exactly. It's crucial to personalize that percentage based on your situation. One thing to consider is your life expectancy. If you expect to live longer, you might want to withdraw a little less than 4%.
That makes sense. It's like adjusting your plan based on your own health and family history. What other factors should people think about?
Well, another big factor is your expenses. Have you done a deep dive into what your monthly expenses will be in retirement? For example, if you have significant healthcare costs, that could impact your withdrawal rate.
Totally. And then there's the lifestyle factor. Some people want to travel a lot in retirement, while others are happy staying home.
Exactly. So it's essential to map out a realistic budget for those early retirement years. A good rule of thumb is to estimate your withdrawal based on your anticipated expenses, not just a flat percentage.
Are there tools or methods you recommend for budgeting?
Yeah, there are several budgeting apps out there, like Mint or YNAB. They can help track your spending and plan for your retirement expenses more accurately.
Those can be really helpful. And I imagine having a clear view of your expenses helps with deciding how much you can withdraw.
For sure. Another strategy to consider is the bucket strategy. Dividing your retirement savings into different buckets based on when you'll need the money.
Right. So you might have a short-term bucket for expenses in the first few years, and then separate buckets for midterm and long-term needs.
Exactly. The short-term bucket could be more conservative, maybe in cash or bonds, while the long-term bucket could be more aggressive, invested in stocks. This way, you're not forced to sell off investments during a market downturn.
That's a smart approach. It allows for more flexibility. You can let your long-term investments grow while still having access to cash when you need it.
And speaking of flexibility, it's also important to reassess your strategy regularly. Market conditions change, and so do your personal circumstances.
So how often should someone reassess their withdrawal strategy?
I'd say at least once a year, or whenever you experience a significant life change, like a new job, health issues, or a change in spending habits.
That sounds reasonable, and I imagine having that regular check-in can help catch any potential issues before they become bigger problems.
Absolutely, and one thing to keep in mind is to adjust your withdrawals based on your investment performance. If the market is doing well, you might feel comfortable withdrawing a bit more, but if it's not, you might want to tighten the belt a little.
That's a great point. So it's about being adaptable, right?
Yes, being adaptable is key. Another rule of thumb is to keep an eye on your withdrawal rate relative to your portfolio performance. If you're consistently withdrawing a set percentage, but your portfolio isn't growing or is declining, that could lead to issues down the road.
I can see how that could lead to a cycle of withdrawing too much and not having enough left.
Exactly. It's also worth noting that tax implications can play a huge role in your withdrawals. Different accounts have different tax treatments, so it's smart to think about the most tax-efficient way to withdraw funds.
That's true. For example, withdrawing from a traditional IRA might be taxed differently than from a Roth IRA.
Right. And strategically planning your withdrawals can save you money in taxes, which means more for you in retirement.
So, are there any specific strategies for managing withdrawals from different accounts?
Definitely. A common approach is to withdraw from taxable accounts first, then tax-deferred accounts, and lastly, tax-free accounts. This way, you can let your tax-advantaged accounts grow longer.
That makes sense. And you're maximizing your money's potential by letting it compound.
Exactly. And another important aspect is understanding Social Security benefits. The age at which you start taking Social Security can significantly affect your overall retirement income.
Oh, yeah. So it's a balancing act between taking it early and getting a lower monthly benefit versus waiting for a potentially higher benefit.
Right. If you're in good health and can afford to wait, delaying benefits can be a smart move. But if you need income right away, you might have to take it earlier.
It's definitely a personal decision that needs careful consideration.
And finally, don't forget about inflation. Over time, inflation can erode your purchasing power, so it's crucial to build that into your withdrawal strategy.
So maybe adjusting your withdrawals each year to keep up with inflation is a smart move?
Exactly, Jordan. Some people use a fixed increase each year, say 2 to 3%, to keep pace with inflation.
Those are really practical strategies. But I imagine there are also some common pitfalls people might fall into when planning their withdrawals.
Absolutely. And recognizing those pitfalls is just as important. Let's explore those now.
You know, Alex, as we dive deeper into withdrawal strategies, I think it's really important to talk about some of the common pitfalls people face.
Absolutely, Jordan. It's one thing to have a strategy in place, but the execution can often trip people up.
Right. So what are some of the mistakes you see most often?
Well, one big issue is underestimating expenses. People often think they'll spend less in retirement, but that's not always the case.
Yeah, I've heard that before. It's like people forget about, healthcare costs or travel plans.
Exactly. I had a client, let's call him Mark. He retired assuming his expenses would drop significantly. But once he retired, he realized he wanted to travel more, visit family, and, enjoy life a bit.
That sounds familiar. It's like they forget to factor in all the things they've been putting off.
Right, and suddenly those expenses add up. He ended up needing to adjust his withdrawal strategy just a few years in because of it.
That's a tough position to be in. What else do you see?
Another mistake is being overly conservative with investments. Some people think that once they retire, they should shift everything to cash or very low-risk investments.
Oh, I can see how that would be a problem. You'd miss out on potential growth, right?
Exactly. I had another client, Sarah, who moved almost all her funds into bonds and cash. She was so worried about market volatility that she overlooked the fact that inflation would eat away at her purchasing power.
So she was stuck in a position where her money wasn't really working for her?
Yes. And when she finally realized her investments weren't keeping up, it was a hard conversation to have. She had to dig deep into her savings, which was not ideal.
Wow, that's a wake-up call.
It really is. Another pitfall is not having a clear withdrawal strategy. Some folks just take out money as they need it without a plan, which can lead to, inconsistent withdrawals.
Right, and that can really throw off your long-term projections.
Exactly. I had a client named Tom who would just withdraw whatever felt right each month. After a few years, he realized he had depleted his savings much faster than he anticipated.
That's a hard lesson to learn.
It is, and it could have been avoided with a solid plan. People need to think about their desired lifestyle and how that aligns with their portfolio.
Yeah, it's like budgeting, but on a larger scale, right?
Exactly. And then there's the emotional aspect. When the market dips, people might panic and pull out too much money, thinking that they need to protect themselves.
That's so true. It's like that fight or flight response kicks in.
Yes, and it can lead to selling off assets just when they shouldn't. I had a couple, let's call them the Johnsons, who panicked during a market downturn. They sold off a lot of their investments, locking in losses that they could have recovered from over time.
That's tough. It's easy to react emotionally, especially when it comes to something as important as retirement funds.
Right, and it's understandable. but having a plan and sticking to it can help mitigate those emotional reactions.
So what should people look for as danger signs that they might be making one of these mistakes?
Great question. One sign is if you're constantly stressed about your finances, or if you find yourself frequently checking your investment accounts.
Yeah, that's definitely a red flag.
Another sign is if you feel like you're living paycheck to paycheck, even in retirement. That's often a result of not having a clear withdrawal strategy.
And wouldn't you say if someone finds themselves withdrawing more than they planned, that's a big indicator too?
Absolutely. If your withdrawals are inconsistent or higher than you budgeted for, that could lead to problems down the road.
So it sounds like self-awareness is really key here.
Definitely. It's important to regularly assess your financial situation and adjust your strategy as needed.
And it can be helpful to have a financial advisor to help keep you on track, right?
Exactly. An advisor can provide that outside perspective and help you stay grounded, especially during market fluctuations.
So if someone finds themselves in a situation where they realize they've made one of these mistakes, what can they do to get back on track?
Well, the first step is to take a deep breath and assess the situation. Look at your expenses, your investments, and your withdrawal strategy.
Sounds like a financial health check.
Yes! And then consider reevaluating your budget and adjusting your withdrawal rate if necessary. It might be time to speak with a financial advisor to get a new perspective.
And that could really help in, recalibrating and moving forward.
Absolutely. It's all about being proactive and recognizing when adjustments are needed.
So those are some immediate steps you can take. Now let's bring everything together. So Alex, if someone is looking to put these strategies into action, what are some immediate steps they can take?
Well, first things first, I'd recommend sitting down and getting a clear picture of your current financial situation. That means looking at your savings, investments, and any other assets you have. It's also important to understand your expenses, right?
Absolutely. Knowing what you spend is crucial. Is there a particular method or tool you'd suggest for tracking expenses?
Sure. There are several apps out there like Mint or YNAB, You Need a Budget, that can help you see where your money is going. They're user-friendly and can make tracking expenses a lot less daunting.
Oh, I love YNAB. It really encourages you to allocate every dollar. So once you have a handle on your expenses, what's next?
After you've mapped out your expenses, it's time to create a withdrawal strategy. Start by determining how much income you'll need in retirement. This could involve calculating your essential expenses versus discretionary spending.
Right, and that could really change how much you decide to withdraw each year.
Exactly. A good rule of thumb is to aim for a withdrawal that aligns with the 4% rule, but remember, this is just a guideline. Depending on your situation, you might adjust that percentage up or down.
So if someone finds that 4% might be too aggressive for them, what steps can they take?
They could consider delaying withdrawals from their retirement accounts. This not only allows their investments to grow, but it also might keep them in a lower tax bracket.
That makes sense. And what about those who are just starting to think about retirement?
For them, it's about building habits now. Start saving a small percentage of your income consistently. Even if it's just 1% or 2% to begin with, it adds up over time.
So small steps can lead to big changes. Are there any specific financial books you'd recommend for someone looking to dive deeper into this topic?
Definitely. The Boglehead's Guide to Retirement Planning is a fantastic resource. It breaks down a lot of these concepts in an easy-to-understand way.
That sounds like a great read. And what about investment platforms? Any that you think are particularly user-friendly for beginners?
Yeah, platforms like Vanguard, Fidelity, or even newer ones like Betterment are very approachable. They often have automated options that make investing simpler for those who may not have the time or expertise to manage their investments actively.
And speaking of automation, setting up automatic contributions to retirement accounts can be a game changer, right?
Absolutely. Automating your savings can help you stick to your goals without even thinking about it. Just set it and forget it.
Until you check in on your progress, right? It really helps build that discipline.
Exactly. And it's also about creating a mindset of long-term thinking. Reminding yourself that you're building a future for yourself can really help keep you motivated.
So true. And what about community support? How important is it to connect with others on this journey?
It can be incredibly helpful. Whether it's a local financial literacy group, online forums, or even just discussing your financial goals with friends and family, having a support system can keep you accountable and provide encouragement.
That's a great point. Plus, sharing experiences can really open up new perspectives.
For sure. And don't forget to review your strategy regularly. Life changes, and so should your financial plan. So maybe set a reminder to check in on your finances at least once a year.
Yeah, that annual check-in can really help adjust for any changes in your life circumstances or financial goals.
Exactly. And as you get closer to retirement, consider working with a financial advisor if you can. They can help fine-tune your strategy based on your personal situation and market conditions.
That sounds like a smart move. So, to summarize the actionable steps, start tracking your expenses using an app, establish a withdrawal strategy based on your needs, automate your savings, and connect with a supportive community.
And incorporate regular reviews of your financial strategy as life evolves.
Those are some solid next steps. So, what's the final piece of advice you'd give to someone just starting this journey?
Just take it one step at a time. It can feel overwhelming, but small, consistent actions lead to significant results over time.
I love that perspective. Now let's transition into bringing everything together.
So we've covered a lot today, haven't we?
Absolutely. It's been a rich discussion. Just to highlight a few key takeaways. First, the 4% rule is still a useful guideline for retirement withdrawals, but it's important to be flexible based on your unique situation.
Right, and we talked about the significance of understanding your spending patterns in retirement. It's crucial to know what your expenses will look like and adjust accordingly.
Exactly. And don't forget about the importance of having multiple income streams. It can really provide a safety net and increase your financial security.
And we also touched on the impact of market fluctuations. Being aware of how that affects your withdrawals can help you make smarter decisions during your retirement years.
Such great points. And, Alex, it's all about creating a plan that feels right for you. Financial freedom is a journey, not a race.
Well said, Jordan. Remember, it's never too late to take control of your finances. Just start with small steps. They lead to big changes over time.
And if you found this episode helpful, we'd love for you to give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. Maybe even share this episode with someone you know who's 40 or older and could benefit from this advice.
Yes, let's get the conversation going.
Next time, we'll dive into health savings accounts, or HSAs, and how they can be a powerful tool for retirement savings.
It's going to be an important topic, especially as healthcare costs continue to rise.
Absolutely, and we'll explore how to maximize those benefits.
So, until then, stay informed and empowered with your financial journey.
Yes, take care, everyone. Looking forward to our next chat.